Good afternoon and welcome to the third concurrent session of the day using Breakout Fun to enhance your in-person or virtual classes. Our presenters today are Daniel Holbrook and John Igo from Emmanuel College. Daniel Holbrook is a lecturer of management at Emmanuel College and an assistant professor at Berklee College of Music. From 2017 to 2020, Holbrook taught statistics, finance, and AP economics at the Middlesex School in Concord, Massachusetts. Prior to working at Middlesex, Holbrook held adjunct teaching positions at Northwood University, Lesley University, and Showa University. Holbrook is a 2008 graduate of University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, where he was also the captain of the basketball team and an All-American basketball player. Upon graduate, Holbrook worked at State Street Corporation and Lexington Wealth Management. In 2011, Holbrook graduated from Bentley University, where he earned a dual MBA degree in economics and finance markets and finance. Holbrook has coached college basketball for over a decade and is a co-founder of Breakout Technologies, 5-Star Flag Football Camp, and Pump It Up Basketball. If you have any questions for the presenters during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. On that note, I will hand it over to our presenters.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for being here. One of our other co-presenters is going to start us off. She's one of my high-performing students at Emmanuel College. So I'm going to pass it off to her, Leonie Kretina.
Thank you very much. So we're going to get started today and introduce Breakout Fun. And we will have a PowerPoint started right up. Here we go. So Breakout Room Fun can be used to engage students a little bit more in interacting with one another. Our presentation will be divided in 3 sections: an introduction with a student's perspective, professor's perspective, and then we will look more into Breakout Fun as a whole with an overview and a demo. And we will also go like in a moving forward section where we recommend Zoom practices with tips and tricks and a Q&A for questions that might still come up during our presentation. So I will start with the student perspective. I'm a first-year student at Emmanuel College and I'm majoring in business. As we have all seen, engaging students right now in remote learning can be really hard. It's a very new normal, and it's often hard to get students engaged, to have them interact with one another. If they're in breakout rooms, sometimes they're muted, don't turn on their microphone, don't turn on their video, and just it's very hard to motivate them. With Breakout Fun, we have found a way to motivate them and give them an incentive to work together, engage with one another, and bring them together by giving them scores on their work and having time limits to engage in more fast-paced learning. And teachers also have the capability of communicating with the students during the game, which is absolutely new. Also, we can send them motivating messages, we can engage in icebreakers, and it bridges a disconnect between the students and the instructor as they can interact with one another. This is very different to other platforms such as Kahoot and Quizlet, as the students work together and they also have like the instructor work together. I have a quote here from a fellow student from our Econ 1101 course, and it's: "The worst part about online learning is entering a breakout room where everyone has their camera off and muted."
Thank you so much. So I want to give you all a little bit of a background of why this activity was created. I was teaching at the Middlesex School in Concord, Massachusetts, Advanced Placement Economics, and in an AP class, a lot of them, the students have to get a lot of repetition and a lot of practice with multiple choice questions. So I created an activity where students would be able to work together on problems, but it was also competitive, and it fostered collaborative learning, and as well as a way to prepare for assessments. It allows the kids to interact with each other, and because of how you can set it up where students play on teams, it becomes somewhat competitive. But what's nice about this type of a game is The setup time is super quick. It uses your own questions to create customizable games that can literally be played in almost any class, in person and remote. So it was designed initially for in-person learning, and it works wonderful. And then when the pandemic came, I decided to create it in such a way that it was customizable, where it would also work online with platforms like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, or any kind of platform where you can put people into breakout groups. But it even works without breakout groups as well. You're kind of limited to your own creativity as to how you can use this type of a platform. So that's why it was created. But initially, I created it on a Google spreadsheet. And what I would do is every time I wanted to play it, I had to recreate the spreadsheet to work for whatever new game I wanted to play with the students. So being how it is now, it's very easy to set up and create these games. You can pretty much do it in under 5 minutes and be able to share it with your students to play. Right now, we're working on a web application that should be released by the end of the month. So today, what we want to do is we want to walk you through and show you how we use the Google spreadsheet version of it. And then we're going to guys all for free, so you can try it out and see if it's something that you'd like to use with your class. So that's pretty much why it was made. And I'm going to pass it off to Mr. John Igo to have you see some features, and then I'll walk you through a little bit of a demo in a couple moments.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so I'm going to give a quick overview of the game, show some of the components that the professors or teachers and students see as they play it and set it up. So your question set, as Dan alluded to, is really the foundation of the Breakout Fun game. You can distribute these questions to students via handouts, Zoom chat, email, whatever's easiest in whatever environment you find yourself in. You can distribute the questions to them in a number of ways. The game can be used by any teacher, no matter what subject they teach. It's effective in both in-person and hybrid and virtual environments, as Dan said. And the students really kind of enjoy working together in teams to problem solve, engage in friendly competition, and it really just kind of shakes up the day-to-day. So this first screenshot that you can see here is the control panel. This is only visible to the teacher. So in step one, you enter in the parameters of the game. You enter in the amount of questions you'd like per round, the number of rounds, and then the number of teams. In the second section, you give the team names. You can either assign them ahead of time or let the students pick their own team names. Oftentimes, there are kind of ongoing study groups or teams within a class, and they can kind of be distributed pretty quickly. And then we'll go back here. And then finally, you enter in your third section. In this third section here, you enter in the answer key, and then you click create game, and we are off and running. So as the students get into their breakout rooms or get into their groups in the class, this is what they'll see. This is the team answer card. And as they work together and come up with the answers, they'll input what they hope are the correct answers into this answer sheet. And then up at the top here, you'll see the teacher is able to send messages in real time, whether that's announcements, encouragement, fun facts, whatever is appropriate. But that's a cool feature that Leonie touched on a little bit earlier. So this is the scoreboard. So the first shot here shows a blank scoreboard prior to the first round. And then this shot will show the scoreboard after a completed round. So you can see it kind of breaks down which questions were correct and incorrect on the right side here. And one of the cool benefits of this view is it allows teachers to zero in on questions that maybe multiple teams struggled with, which could indicate a subject matter that may need to be revisited during class. So in this example, you can see looks like only 60% got question 4 right. So that would be something that you could zero in on and see if there's a gap in understanding there as well. So just touch quick on the benefits again. So it really does work great both in class and virtually. As Dan said, the early version of it, he played in the classroom a couple years ago, and then he's kind of adapted it in a very great way to benefit the kids as they learn virtually. When designing it, we really tried to focus on making it very fast and simple to set up, easy to use for both the teachers and the students, and of course, fun. So Dan, I think I'm going to turn it over to you now, so you can show kind of what goes into setting up a game, and we can actually play around together here.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so here is the user interface. We cleaned it up a little bit since the last picture that you saw there, just to make it real easy to use. We're going to share this with you. So when we send you the link at the end, what you can do is you can well, you'll see. We'll send you our website, and what you can do is you can just download it right off of our website, and it will save it right onto a Google Drive. So it runs off of Google Drive. Your students do not need to have Google accounts to use this. However, you do have to have a Google account to use this. The other thing is, if you check back on our website after March, it's supposed to be out at the end of March. So if you come in April on our website, you'll be able to try the actual web version that has a couple extra features that will benefit your in-person class use of this, as well as virtual use as well. So anyways, here's the interface. To set this up, it's very easy. So the number of teams, I'm just going to make a game with 5 teams for right now. And you can play this in rounds, or you could just have it be like a certain number of questions where you didn't want to play it in rounds. Like, so that's why it comes down to your creativity. How do you want to use this thing? Do you want to play it in rounds? The couple weeks ago, I played it with my sports law students, where instead of us playing it rounds, they did a whole matching problem set where they just stayed, and basically it was like 1 round with a whole bunch of questions. So it's really versatile. The one thing is, though, I don't recommend it for assessment, this version of it anyways, just because you can look at other people's answers. They also know if you're looking at their sheet, but it's not really for that. It's not really for assessment. However, it can be used for a little bit of assessment purposes, just to gauge and see how your class is doing with the material. Anyways, so what we did was we created a question set that we'll use to demonstrate this game for us, that has 5 questions in it with 2 rounds. So 10 questions total. And if Ms. Leone, if you could send them the link to the questions. If you guys would look into the chat message, there's going to be a link for these questions that you'll get in Google format, just like this. However, you could send them a file in the chat. If you play it in the classroom, you can print out the questions and give it to them. See, I like to do that because then the kids work on the problems in the class, and then they get to keep the questions for study purposes for later. So there's a whole bunch of ways, but we found that if you send it to them in a Google Doc, it becomes pretty easy to use the game, which I'll come back to later. All right, so anyways, I'm just gonna set it up so that it's like team 1, team 2, team 3, 4, 5, just in essence of time. But typically what I like to do is, like, if I have groups that are set for the class for the whole year, some of my classes don't, but I let them create team names that are kind of fun. And students oftentimes like to, pick something cool for their team name. So you can do that too if you'd like. So now it's time to input the answers. So I'm just going to put in the answers to the questions that we're going to give you. So close your eyes, but this is how you do it. Give me 1 sec. I just got to get the last answer. B, and C. Now, you wouldn't want your students to see this, right? Because all the answers are there. So maybe you want to create the game, or Or sometimes what I do is like, I'll just like hide it a little bit like that so the students can't see it. So there's, different ways you could do that. Sometimes some teachers who have used it set it up before the students come in. Another thing you could do. So anyways, now what you do is everything's set up, all the parameters. All you have to do is hit the create button. But I just want to let everybody know, the first time you use this, you have to give Google permission to run this, because what this is this is a script. I don't know if anyone's familiar, it's a macro script. And what it does is it reads the parameters that you input. It's going to read all this and it builds the game based on those parameters. So it's like doing things in the back to create something customized game for you. So anyways, I hit create and it's going to tell you that the script is going to run. And it's also going to tell you that a new game is being created. So don't click anything. And what you're going to see first is you're going to see a scoreboard pop up. Here's the scoreboard, but don't click on it just yet. So the scoreboard pops up. And the next thing, if you can see where my mouse is, here's the first team sheet. So, so when I share this to you, you would just go into whatever team your team is. And what's going to happen, so if I expand my window, you'll be able to see more. So there's the 4th team, and then here's the 5th team, and then the game is all set up. So and then it's going to take you right to the scoreboard. And what it also does is it hides the sheet that has the answers on it. However, the only one who can access the control panel sheet is you, the owner of this document. So when you put this when you save this document, when you download it, it's going to save it into your Google Drive. You become the owner of the sheet. And you can send it to anyone you want. We're just trying to give something cool to people that they can use in their class. So feel free to send it to anybody. But anyways, as you can see, if you look at my tabs down here, the control panel tab is hidden in here. All right. And then if you want to go back to the control panel, you can just hit this button right here and it will unhide it and bring you back there. Now, the students are not allowed to click on anything on this scoreboard. They're not allowed to because only the owner of the sheet can control this scoreboard. So that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you now. And all you have to do is you can hit this share link. And this is a good way to do it. Hit the share link because what it does is it automatically makes this sheet editable to anyone who has this link. So do it that way. Hit the green button and copy the link right here. John, are you able to see where it's the pop-up that shows?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sometimes with the Zoom screens, it might not see the pop-ups. Okay, cool. So you just click the copy link and now it's copied. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to you all in the chat and you can open it up. So come to that link that I just sent you. All right. Good. I can see you guys in here. See, you guys are all in here as like anonymous, like, I don't know, a blobfish somebody is. You see that? I can see everybody up in here. Now, none of you can click on this score sheet because you're not the sheet owner. You know what I mean? So what we want to do is let's have everybody navigate into a team. So here's what I would do. At this point, what I would do is so however your groups are set up, I don't know. Sometimes what I do is like, I'll put everybody in like a breakout room and I can show them the breakout groups and say, okay, everybody go to the tab that you're in. Like if you're in room 1, you'd be in team 1, or you can set it up. If it's team names, the kids can get there really easy. So you just navigate to these tabs down here. And what we can do is I want you guys to try to enter in some answers right here. Go to one of these team answer sheets. Here's the team answer sheets. What I can do is I can set the timer. So I would say, okay, I'm putting you guys in the breakout rooms. We're going to do round 1. And I don't know, depending on how much time the students need, you can enter in time in the timer, click start to start the script. And then what's going to end up happening is, here we go. What's going to end up happening is the timer is going to start and I can type in messages to all the students. Hello, the game has begun. As you can see, the time is winding down. the timer sometimes looks like it's doing some crazy things, but in the end it evens out. I don't know. My Zoom stuff is like, my computer's like overheating right now. But as you can see, the students would be inside the rooms with the timer running so that they know how much time is left in the round. I can send them messages like, hello. One of the things I like to do too is at the top of all of the rounds, I like to put a question in so that the students can like ask each other, because I like to also use this as a breakout activity. Like if you use this on day one. So here's what I did. I'm teaching over at the Berklee College of Music, and there's a professor at their campus in Spain who's sick. And they asked me to take over the class for a couple of weeks. It's this economics class. So I was like, all right, perfect. So I go in there, day one, I threw this up there and I did a supply and a demand problem set just to see, because I don't know how much stuff the kids know. So I used Breakout Fun to try to help me assess how well the kids knew the information. And at the end of the class, one of the students stayed and told me that that was one of the most engaging classes that they had. And it was like really nice to be able to interact and talk to other people. And I threw in questions like this just to try to like, to be honest, the teacher really didn't do much to try to like help the kids meet each other, which is really hard in online learning, right? Like, how do you get the kids to like meet each other and talk to each other and stuff? I've talked to students about what happens in breakout rooms, and there are like horror stories. People turn off the mics. Some people aren't even talking, and then the teacher just pulls them back into the main room and it's just like nothing happened. There's all sorts of stuff with some of the students I've talked to, people that I coach. But anyways, it's just kind of cool. Everybody go in, kind of, turn your mic on and your camera on and answer the question, and somebody share the screen and we talk about each question and you input the answers. So like, that's why I like it to do it like this, where you send the kids the questions in the Word doc or the Google Doc, because then you can just easily like navigate back and forth from like, okay, number 2 is whatever, and you just would enter it into the sheet. So let's say that the round was over. So like, and then what I do is I'm always like, Dan's favorite place is, Italy or something like that, and because I'll answer the breakout questions as well as the students are playing. I'll also send them messages like, I tell them to fire up, or, you just tell them that, 1 minute remaining, or you can do whatever you want. So the other thing is this, if you want to use the timer, you have to put seconds in. That's how it works with Google. So 300 seconds is 5 minutes. The other thing is this, Google Scripts only allow scripts to run for 6 minutes. So in this version, you can't set the timer for more than 6 minutes. Web version is going to be, you can do whatever you want. The web version is going to be really, really nice with some of the features that we have. So then, what I would do now is I would close the breakout rooms, bring all the students back, and only I can display the results of the game. So what I do is I hit this little button, this little checkbox right here, and there are the results of the round. We have some metrics down here, tells you how many points each team got in the round. And then we also have over here a running score. If I had to go over any question, I would do it. I asked, is there any questions from the students? And then what I do is I just say, okay, we're going to go play the next round. Boom. I'll send them back into the breakout rooms. I'll set the timer. I'll send some messages to them, and then close the rooms when the round's over, and boom, you show them the score. And, it gives you a running tally. It shows you this thing over here, just kind of like, just like a little meter thing, whatever, kind of says the score just in a little meter bar. But and then that's it really. And what I would do then is, when the game's over, you can just navigate right back to the control panel, and you can just click the reset button and it will just clear everything out for you. We created a little demo video that you can check out if this is something you want to use with your class. And if you forget or whatever, some of the things I talked about, you go right here to the demo. It will walk you through how to set it up and just a little bit of the features. And the other thing that I want to show you guys is I want to talk a little bit quickly about some of the Zoom features that can be really helpful. One of the things that I think that, so like what I'm going to be doing, I think that we should make an extra credit assignment for the students to update their Zoom. You got to get the kids to update the Zoom, because what happens is Zoom has new releases that have new updates. For instance, one of the updates allows the students, to choose what room to go into. Now, at Emmanuel College, all of our students have Zoom accounts, like registered Zoom accounts. But when I teach at Berklee College of Music, they don't have those. There's no Zoom accounts. All those students use Zoom as a guest. And the problem with that is it makes it so we can't, automatically put people in breakout rooms. So tell them to update the Zoom. And some of the things that we have with the breakout rooms is, oh, actually, I can't show it to you here. We can show it to you on the PowerPoint slide, as a matter of fact, yes, because I can't share that with you, so I apologize. We'll show that to you on the PowerPoint slide in a moment. So, but one of the big things with the Zoom is this. When you download Zoom originally, and initially you put people into breakout rooms, what happens is it sends the students an alert to join the breakout room. And then, but the thing is, if a student's not paying attention, they're not going to click the button, and then everybody goes into the breakout room and the teacher's sitting there and it's all awkward. And you're like, hey, are you there? You know what I mean? So what you can do is you can change the Zoom settings so that they automatically go. You click the button, they go, they're already in there. And then the other thing is this, when you close the breakout rooms, it defaults with a 60-second countdown. So if you're using this, you want to go into the settings and just say, close them automatically, no countdown. Because then you hit the button, the kids just go. You hit the button to close the rooms, the kids just automatically come back. Or, I mean, you could leave the 60 seconds in there, but you just want to factor that in if you were playing this game. Okay, let's show some of the Zoom tips. So first off, if you wanted to, it's hard, you know, you got to learn the Zoom stuff, and most people have learned it at this point, but at the beginning it was really tricky with all the configurations. But first off, like, you know, allowing pre-designed breakout rooms. If you see to the left of this slide that we're looking at, you know, going into the Zoom setting and predetermining breakout rooms, if your students have these accounts. But if we look on the right side of this screen over here, these settings come from when Zoom is actually running. It's in the breakout settings. And if you hit that little gear, if you look on right where that button says recreate, to the left of it, that little gear, what you can do is you can automatically move all the students into the breakout groups. If John, you could move your mouse up to that one a little bit to where that is. Yeah, right there. So, or if you see that top option, you can allow participants to choose a room, which can be very good, which at Berklee College of Music for me is really good, because I open them up and the kids click right into the group that they're assigned with. So, but this is running the breakout game itself is very simple. But if you want to get really good at running it, you know, some of these settings can really help you make the game really seamless and enhance the experience for the students. If we go to the next slide. Great. So the one other thing that I'll just say as an instructor, and then I'm going to pass it back off to John or Leonie, is imagine a situation. I had this happen to me where, say you're assigning like a research paper or something, a big project in one of your classes, and you're up and you're putting in a whole bunch of time, like grading it and giving feedback to the students. That takes a long time. And then you have a full day of classes the next day, and you're in this time crunch. This is a wonderful activity that you can do with the students where you will get a lot out of it. The students will enjoy it, and it kind of like allows you to kind of take a little bit of a breather for that day of classes, because you can literally play this in every single one of your classes. If you ever find yourself in that situation and you're kind of in a pinch, you know, sometimes I'm in a pinch and I'm like on websites like teacherspayteachers.com trying to find like an activity for tomorrow. This is something you could do. Okay, so if John or Leonie take the last slide here, I think I've said everything I need to.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Dan. So yeah, we're like Dan mentioned, we are excited about the web application. We're developing that now, and we are expecting it to be ready by the end of the month. We're giving a free copy of the original Google Sheets version to today's attendees. So you can claim that either on the website or via a link in today's chat. And then I think lastly, we just wanted to say we value feedback, especially from the attendees of conferences like this so much. So, you know, any suggestions, tips, questions, anything like that, we would love if you reached out either to us directly or through the website, info@breakoutfun.com.
All right.
So I think that wraps up the presentation, and we can just kind of open it up for any Q&A.
Yes, thank you very much. How fun. I would love to play that game in class. I'm a fan of this idea and I love how it promotes the engagement between students. So thank you for sharing. I know we already have one question that came into the question and answer box here. If anybody else has questions they would like to share, feel free to add those in now. It looks like somebody opened the spreadsheet and they're not seeing the demo button on the link that was provided to them.
Great. Yes. I'll take the screen. So here's what happens so the demo link is on the control panel. So the version that we shared with you, you are, since you are not the owner of the sheet, it basically is like you're kind of like a student. The students only have access to the scoreboard and these team answer sheets down here. So if you go to our website, or what you could do is even the version that I sent you, you could just go to File and download or make a copy of it, and you could save it onto your Google Drive. Or if you want, you can just get a clean version of it by if you just go to our website and you just fill out right here, breakoutfun.com, you just fill this out, it will automatically email you a link to the file. And then we also have the demo video posted on our website right here. But once you get the link, like if you get it from our website, then what happens is as soon as you open it, it'll look just like this, and the demo link will be right here.
Thank you. We have a comment here. I have not had success with pre-assigning people to breakout rooms. I import CVS, but when running the room, they are not pre-assigned.
Yeah, so that's something that will drive you crazy trying to figure out that stuff. So one of the things that you'd probably want to check with is, do the students at your institution have breakout accounts? Do they have, Zoom accounts? And the thing is, if they do, then what they need to do is they have to sign in to your class using their official account from the school. So like Leonie, for instance, my student, she has an Emmanuel email account that is tied to the Zoom. So when she enters my class, I set it up that only authorized people can enter my classroom. And what that does is it makes them have to sign in to Zoom using their credentials, because that's the only way you can do it. And if your school does not have Zoom credentials for the students, so a lot of students use Zoom as guests, like they do at Berkeley College of Music, my students over there. If that's the case at your school, then what you want to do is you can use the feature, let students choose what room they want to go into. It's in the settings. John, if you want to share that one more time so we could show people that?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it's really important you get these kids to update the Zoom accounts, because like you might have a student who downloaded Zoom back in September, and since September there's been a whole bunch of new releases. Now, if you can see on the right side of this, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit, John, or not, but I don't think you can, but on the right side of this, this is the settings for the breakout rooms. And what you need to do is if you click like breakout rooms, the gear, if where John's mouse is down there, if you click on that, you can allow students to choose their own rooms. So, if you say, okay, say you show like a Word document with all the kids in their rooms that they're in and say, okay, check out this document. These are the rooms you're in. And then the students just go right in. It's a really good feature, especially if you have like 30 kids in the class and they don't have Zoom accounts. You got to move them around manually and they're like looking at your face, like in the camera and stuff like that. It gets a little weird.
That's a helpful tip. Thank you. Looks like that same person said, great presentation, great app. Thank you so much. We have another question here. Do you have to use Google Docs or can it be used in Excel also?
So that's a great question. So this particular one is written with Google Script, but if you send me an email, I actually do have an Excel version that was originally created that works like the exact same way. And what you would do is you just, I'm like at Emmanuel College, we have OneDrive. So like what you could do is you could put it on OneDrive, but it also works in the classroom too with Excel. So if you want to, you can, if you want to stick around after the meeting, I can share that with you and show you how it would work as well.
Thank you. Where can I email you for the Excel? You're welcome to share your email here if you'd like, or I can direct them to email marketing@Hawks Learning and we can send those responses to you.
That's if it's okay, I don't care. I can give them my email.
Yeah.
If you want, you can just email my personal email right there, and I will. I'll send you a copy of it.
Great, thank you. We have another one here. Do I have to create a separate document with the questions?
So in our web application version, we actually have like an import question feature. There's a couple ways to do it actually with that one. We have like in the interface, you can like create your own question bank. So it's kind of like a little bit of like how Kahoot you'd create questions. So we'll have that functionality where you'll be able to like paste things in and you can also import questions through a CSV file. But for this web app version, for this version that we have now, let me see if I have it open. So what I usually do is, let me just show you here. 1 second, I'm opening this up. What I typically do is I have all these question sets already saved. Let me see, I'll grab a couple of them. Here we go. I have a whole bunch of question sets already saved. So like here, let me share this with you. Desktop. So like in this folder here, this was like for, one of my classes, like, you can export questions from test banks, pretty quickly to create sheets like this. So like, that's kind of what I usually do is I sometimes write the questions myself, or I'll just like get them from different test generators. Cengage, has stuff. Hawks has stuff you can use. Pretty much any kind of a lot of the publishers give you stuff that you can use, so you can put them together pretty quick that way. And I'll put them in like a PDF or a Word doc. Sometimes I'll just print them if it's in class and hand it to them, stuff like that. So that's typically where I get the questions from. However, again, you will be able to use a more fancier way to create Kahoot style questions, say in the web application version.
Thank you. We have another question. Will the web-based version be based on Google Slides? Will it matter whether you use Excel or Google with the web-based version?
So that's an awesome question. The web-based version is going to, it's going to pretty much just sit right on the internet. There's not going to be any spreadsheets or anything like that. It's going to be all just open up the web page. The other thing is it's going to be that what we're actually really excited about is that there's going to be a version that you can operate from your mobile phone or an iPad or computer if you want. But so for when kids are in person, you know, say you put kids in groups and they're working on problems together. With the web app, they'll be able to join the game from their cell phone and just answer in the questions from their cell phone. So it'll be that as well. So yeah, no, you don't need any kind of spreadsheet or anything like that.
Thank you. And have you found that there's any need for training on the students' end, or do they just seem to hop in pretty quickly and catch on?
Let's have Leonie answer that one.
Yeah, so we have used Breakout Fun in our classroom for microeconomics before, and usually it was just a 2-minute kind of overview, like, hey, this is the sheet you should go into. I'm going to assign you like a team right now. Please only go into your team tab. You can just put the answers here. Please share the document. We often do it in breakout rooms that one person shares the questions and another one shares their screen maybe and puts in like the words, like the answers. So it usually doesn't take very long to introduce your students to the app itself. I think it's much harder for the instructor than the students. Usually they get the gist really quickly.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so with, I mean, so, you know, with kind of implementing any kind of new thing, you know, I encourage, if you wanted to use this with your class, I would say, check out the demo video again, but just play with it, you know, and if the file gets corrupted for some reason, you know, you delete something that messes up something, or, you know, you accidentally make one of these columns look real big and you can't figure it out, or just download a new one, get a new link, you can do that. But so what I do is I share this with the students. This is what I do. I share this with the students and they all enter in here and I can see that they're entering in, and I don't start the game until they're in their tabs. I've found there's a lot. So I have like 140 students right now and I've used it with everybody at least once this year. And I've found that there are students who aren't used to that don't really know that there's extra tabs in workbooks. Like they'll be like, where'd you get that problem? And I'm like, well, it's on the next tab in the workbook. You know, so just what I do is I'm like, okay, everybody take a look at where my mouse is, go into your team sheet. And the thing is, you can tell if people are in the main sheet right here. Like, see how I have all these icons up here? I can tell that like here's somebody right here. There's another person over here, and if there was a whole bunch of people in there, I'd say, hey, listen, pay attention, go to your sheet. But once they're in the sheets, everything is real smooth. So there can be like a slight learning curve at the beginning, but you'll know if the kids are struggling because you'll be able to tell if they're in their sheets or not, and you can direct them. Like one time I had students trying to input answers into here on the scoreboard. And I could tell because all of their things were right around here. So what I just did was I was like, hey, team 4, go to the tab in the bottom. And then they saw that message and they were like, oh, okay. So sometimes in the first round, there can be a little bit of learning curve, but after that, it's typically very smooth sailing. But what I like to do is I like to do, just for some best practices, I like to play 5 to 7 questions in a round and maybe play 4 or 5 rounds with the kids. You know, you don't want to overkill it, but I think that this is something that you can use in your class, you know, say 3 to 4 times in a semester without overkilling it. Anytime you want to do assessment, great for the first day of class for icebreaker stuff. And then, you know, anytime you want to just kind of maybe, you know, I did a vocabulary with my law students the other day, for instance, where they worked on vocabulary and talked about different things. So that's kind of what I like to do.
Great. Thank you. And one more question. This will have to be our last one. And what is a good size for a group with this game? Great
question. So with this particular version, this one you're limited to 15 teams. The web app, you can have as many teams as you want. Also with the web app version, you can't go into other tabs. So like, that's why you don't want to use it for assessment, is because I can look at other people's tabs. And if you're running this game, you can also go into the tabs to see how the students are doing. For instance, say you put 5 minutes on the clock, you know, is that too much time? I can go in here and I can see like, all right, team 2 has not done question 5 yet. You know what I mean? I can kind of navigate through to see, but the students can too. That's why you don't want to use it for assessment. Web app version, you could if you wanted to, but there's already stuff for online assessment. You don't need to use this. This is just something kind of fun, different, throw the kids something new type of thing. But anyways, the most that I've had, I played a game where there was 11 teams this year, which was awesome. I had like 40 kids playing it. So, but you could have, you know, as you don't want to put more than maybe 4 or 5 people on a team. So in this version, you could probably play great with 75 people.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, it looks like we're out of time. So thank you, Daniel, John, and Leonie for all of the valuable information you shared with us today. I'm going to launch a quick 3-question poll on the presentation we just watched. So please, everyone, take a minute to quickly send us your feedback.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
We appreciate it.
If anybody wants, you know, if anybody's interested in, you know, we'd be happy to come into your class and run it if you wanted us to. If you know, you notice something and you want to get some best practices, or if there's anything we can do to, you know, help you want to try this, if you want to try it, just send me an email and let us know. We'd be happy to help you out.
Awesome. Thank you. So while you all are filling out the poll, I just wanted to mention that the next concurrent sessions will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You can view the chat here shortly for session meeting room links, or you can access our conference website for a complete list of concurrent sessions and their descriptions. Don't forget, while you're accessing our conference website, you can swing by our exhibit hall and say hello to the Hawks team. You can view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win our hourly giveaway, which I'm sure you've heard is your choice of a smart pen, standing desk, or $100 Amazon gift card. So we look forward to seeing you at your next session. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.